From KPRC Channel 2, this is Houston Newsmakers with Cambrell Marshall.
And welcome this morning to Congressman Al Green, representing the 9th Congressional District. Congressman, good to see you as always.
My honor to be with you, Cambrell.
You called me last week and said, we got to talk about this. We have something that we're doing in Washington, D.C. that people need to know about, and it has to do with our flooding. Something about that, you're trying to make sure that we get more money to deal with that.
Yes, I am, and I have colleagues who are helping out, by the way. This is a bipartisan piece of legislation. Congressman Culberson's on board, Jackson Lee's on board, Gene Green was one of the original co-sponsors of it. And this legislation, H.R. 5025, would allow us to complete projects that are already on the drawing board that are there to prevent flooding in Houston-Harris County. It's about $311 million. Now, we can spend that money now or we can spend it later. The Memorial Day flood cost us about $3 billion. The Tax Day flood, the most recent one, cost us about $5 billion. That's $8 billion. That $8 billion is 25 times the $311 million we would spend in prevention. So that's where we're headed. Prevention won't eliminate, it will mitigate. I don't know if we'll ever eliminate all flooding.
Has money been in the pipeline for these projects anyway? I know there's been several that are ongoing.
Yes, money has been in the pipeline for these projects, but it's time for us to accelerate the pace. It really is time to get these done. The Harris County Flood Control District projects and prognosticates that if we do this, we can bring jobs, more than 6,000 jobs, that we can save billions over the long run by virtue of using the prevention, and we can even save lives.
Well, on paper, this sounds like a great no-brainer, but of course anything that's in Washington, D.C. is not necessarily fall that way. So what are the hurdles between now and getting it passed and getting money coming in when we can start celebrating about that money coming?
Excellent question. There are many ways to get this done. We can get it done. If we had all of the leadership to agree, we could do it next week. That likelihood of that happening, not good. But we can continue with this bill, which is an emergency supplemental. It's not an earmark. Earmarks are out in Washington now. But this emergency supplemental is something similar to what we did with Sandy on the East Coast, similar to what we did with Katrina, where we accorded over $100 billion. It's a means by which we can pass a law to allow this to happen. And if we can get enough people, 218 or more, to vote for it, then we can get it done. But before we can vote for it, we got to get it to the floor. That's why we're honored to have bipartisan support for it. By the way, the business community is on board with it as well.
So you've already introduced this. Now what it's going to take this next step? Are you just trying to get more support?
Well, we're going to get, yes, absolutely. We have to get as many members of Congress on board as possible. Currently, we have about 58 members. I didn't have a lot of time to get a lot of signatures, but we got 58. When I go back, I'm going to start gathering more signatures. We want to get as many on board as possible. The more, the merrier. We've got to get to 218. Once we get that, I think we'll get it done. You know,
we've always heard that all politics is local, and everybody's got their own issues that they're dealing with. Even though this sounds like a great idea, you have to deal with Congress people who are dealing with their own areas and wonder, well, why should I be involved with giving you money when I need it for my area?
Well, I understand, but you understand, but for the grace of God, there go I.
Absolutely.
All right. That is something that is easily understood and easy to relate to when you're not the subject of the suffering. There is suffering when you say, but for the grace of God go I. And the suffering is what we are talking about now. So we want everybody who understands suffering to understand that this is going to eliminate a lot of suffering, and also understand that Houston has sent tax dollars to the East Coast. When we've had tornadic activities, we've sent money to help there. We've sent money to New Orleans for Katrina. Whenever there are problems, our tax dollars help those people. It's time for some of our tax dollars to come home, help us right here in Houston, and in so doing, we're going to save a lot of money, billions of dollars.
I'm looking forward to this happening, by the way. While I have you here,
yes.
The political climate is certainly changing. Senator Cruz dropped out, Governor Kasich dropped out, and now Donald Trump is left standing as the presumptive nominee for the Republican Party. Secretary Clinton is still not totally locked it up. What do you make of the political landscape?
Well, I think, first of all, people have to take Mr. Trump seriously. 16 other people did not, and they are also Rands. He is now, as you said, the presumptive nominee of the party. So you have to take him seriously. Second point is, I believe that Ms. Clinton is far out and that she will become the nominee of the Democratic Party. I think that when that happens, my hope is that we'll see some policy debates. We'll see some serious discussions about issues. We'll talk about how you're going to do the things that you say you're going to do. If you have a project that you say you're going to complete, let's see how would you do that. It's the how that's important. Saying you can do something is not nearly as important as explaining how you'll do it. Ms. Clinton is eminently qualified to explain why she takes the positions that she takes.
So coming up, between now and then, there's a long time, and typically in the Republican side, things were pretty dirty for a while there. You suspect that you can keep it clean going forward here?
Well, you always want to, but politics has gotten to the point now where it's almost wishful thinking. You'd like to see a good, clean race with the policies being discussed, but my suspicion is that it's going to become a little bit rough as we get closer to the end.
You're an eternal optimist. I know that about you personally. So going forward, what is it about you that makes you keep the fire burning being a representative for the 9th District?
Well, I consider myself a public servant, not a perfect servant, but a public servant. And one of the great joys in life for me, candidly speaking, is helping other people. One of the ways that I can divorce myself from my problems is to help others with their problems. It makes life so much easier to endure when you're helping somebody else, and it reminds you that as massive as your problems may appear to be, there are many more people who need much more help than you. So I enjoy it. This is all I do. 24/7. People can call me anytime they want, and I answer my phone, 713-858-8787. That's my personal cell number. You can call me anytime you want.
Well, and I'm glad that I got a call from you to go ahead and come on this program. Congressman,
my honor.
It's good to see you.
My honor. Thank you.
Congressman Al Green.